Secretary Rubio reserves the right to revoke the visa of Mahmoud Khalil. And Mahmoud Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study, and he took advantage of that opportunity by siding with terrorists.
Guys, they don't take your rights immediately. It's a slippery slope. It starts with them taking away other people's rights. Maybe a visa holder here, a green card holder here, and then it progresses. Once they get an inch, they always take a mile. If we limit freedom of speech for one, we invite totalitarianism for all. Next thing I want to show you guys was Ben Shapiro, right? So he goes, Deja tumbles, dramatically leaving political opening for Democrats, Leroy Jenkins, right? He's basically poking fun at this guy. This is Mahmoud Khalil, okay? Now, if you guys don't know, this is a big fucking story going on right now. Mahmoud Khalil, you know what? Let me go ahead and pull a video up. All right, so this is the latest. Actually, okay, this comes from today. White House press secretary says former Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil is in the process of being deported.
Right for the American public to prevent a government shutdown.
Just the last question here on Mahmoud Khalil. Does the administration believe that it needs...
Oh, this is a YouTuber, this dude.
...to charge...
I forget his name. He's from one of these things.
...a green card holder...
I wonder if they'll ever let me in the White House. I think I applied, but I don't know what the fuck. We'll see what happens.
...with a crime to be eligible for deportation?
Well, in fact, Secretary Rubio reserves the right to revoke the visa of Mahmoud Khalil, and I'm glad you brought this up. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke a green card or a visa for individuals who serve or are adversarial to the foreign policy and national security interests of the United States of America. And Mahmoud Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's finest universities and colleges. And he took advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists. Hamas terrorists who have killed innocent men, women, and children. This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged in. And I have those flyers on my desk. They were provided to me by the Department of Homeland Security. I thought about bringing them into this briefing room to share with all of you, but I didn't think it was worth the dignity of this room to bring that pro-Hamas.
Of course, he uses that as an excuse, bro.
Propaganda. But that's what this individual distributed on the campus of Columbia University, and this administration is not going to tolerate individuals having the privilege of studying in our country and then siding with pro-terrorist organizations that have killed Americans. We have a zero-tolerance policy for siding with terrorists, period.
See, now, here's the thing, right? And I actually talked about this. I'm going to show you guys a tweet that I made, right, in response to this. So, Homeland Security, right, tweeted out, on March 9, 2025, in support of Donald Trump's executive orders prohibiting anti-Semitism and in coordination with the Department of State, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested Mahmoud Khalil, a former Columbia University graduate student. Khalil led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. ICE and the Department of State are committed to enforcing President Trump's executive orders and protecting U.S. national security. So I wrote here, right? As a former DHS special agent, I'm ashamed the agency violated the First Amendment of the Constitution we took an oath to uphold. Doing it on behalf of a foreign nation makes it even more egregious. Let me be clear. I don't agree with Khalil, which I don't. But infringing on someone's freedom of speech in the United States is antithetical to what this country stands for and what separates us from the rest of the world. This is a dangerous precedent we are setting. Today it's a green card holder. Tomorrow it will be a U.S. citizen. And this guy, Yankee Doodle, actually really smart guy, he posts a bunch of different court findings that shows that this is actually unconstitutional, man. Kwang Hai Chu versus Colding, 1953. The court held that a lawful permanent resident was entitled to due process protections, reinforcing their constitutional rights to apply to non-citizens present in the United States. Plyler versus Doe. Though not directly a First Amendment case, this ruling affirmed that 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause applies to all persons, not just citizens, strengthening the argument that non-citizens benefit from constitutional protections. Butamine versus Bush. The court ruled that even non-citizens detained at Guantanamo Bay had certain constitutional rights, further demonstrating that constitutional protections are not limited to U.S. citizens. Right? So let me, and then Bridges versus Wixon. The court ruled that a lawful permanent resident, a non-citizen, could not be deported solely for political speech, affirming that First Amendment protections extend to non-citizens. So here's 4 different cases that show a legal precedent that foreign nationals and green card holders especially enjoy the same constitutional rights that we do, right? Oh, and then I made a post on this as well. I find it funny that MAGA retards are jumping for joy that left-wing Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil got arrested by ICE for political speech. Any right-wing personality knows we were heavily censored the past 4 years. We complained the left censored us, deplatformed, and financially persecuted conservatives. Now we have a liberal green card holder being arrested for the same political speech we fought to get back for years. And those same conservatives are cheering like retards. Do you guys understand that we are celebrating the very censorship we fought so hard to destroy? And that, my friends, is kind of like the bottom line here, right? Because what I'm realizing with a lot of these MAGA people, whether it's Rob Smith saying that a guy should stay in jail because of potential racial riots, or idiots like Sean Faresh saying that the Israeli lobby doesn't control this country and they only donated $188 million, right? Or idiots that cheer for censorship that had literally just been complaining about censorship a year ago. I find it incredible that these people don't have principles. And that's the fucking problem and the basis of my argument, okay? And it's simply this, my friends. We have allowed a bunch of idiotic, un-American, unpatriotic individuals to invade the MAGA movement and use it for their own personal ideals. Whether it's Rob Smith cosplaying as a gay black man to show that the MAGA movement can be diverse, yet in the same sentence, having a very BLM stance of don't let him out because there's going to be riots, or stupid-ass Sean Faresh, who unequivocally supports Israel like the fucking moron that he is. Or Ben Shapiro, cheering for fucking people getting arrested and or banned for free speech. You know, the same free speech that he complained about for a very long time, right? This is where I commented, right? He goes and makes this joke right here. DJ tumbles, dramatically leaving political opening, right? Leroy Jenkins, ha ha, so funny, right? And I go and I commented, and this is why I ratioed him. He got 2.3K likes, I got 2.9. This motherfucker got 7 million on Twitter, by the way, chat. We didn't even do an OSS on him, and we ratioed him. And I go, Ben, aren't you a harsh critic of censorship? I don't agree with Khalil, but he has a right to free speech. Why are you advocating for the violation of the First Amendment to someone lawfully here? Much case law demonstrates foreign nationals have free speech. Today it's a green card holder, tomorrow it's a U.S. citizen. Wake up. And that's the fucking problem with these idiots, man. They don't have the foresight to understand that this is a problem. Whether it violates a Palestinian green card holder's rights or an American citizen. Guys, they don't take your rights immediately. It's a slippery slope. It starts with them taking away other people's rights. Maybe a visa holder here, a green card holder here. And then it progresses. How did COVID start? Oh, like just wear a mask and 6 feet distancing. Then it was a complete lockdown. Then it was you need to take a vaccine. Then it was you can't go to this area. You can only be outside of your house these times. Once they get an inch, they always take a fucking mile. And the fact that we're just sitting here blind and allowing the government to censor political speech, which, by the way, is the speech that this fucking country was founded upon. If I was going to go ahead and say that there's speech that needs to be protected, political speech is at the top of that fucking pyramid. That is the speech that invokes change. That is the speech that allows you to criticize your government. That is the speech that allows us to continue to have a fucking democracy. So if we remove political speech for one, we're inevitably creating a totalitarian state for all. I'm going to say that again for the stupid-ass motherfuckers that don't have common sense. If we limit freedom of speech for one, we invite totalitarianism for all. And this is why I hate these stupid MAGA conservatives that cheer when liberals get their rights violated. Because I know that if they violate that guy's rights, even though he might be in a different political party or he might have a different ideology than me, I know that I'm going to be next. And I find it incredible that the same conservatives that were bitching about the censorship regime a year ago are jumping and cheering for someone on the left being censored now. And not only is he being censored, he's being censored to the worst degree. He's being censored with the threat of law enforcement, political persecution. He has the definition of a political prisoner. And again, I hate that I even have to fucking defend this guy, by the way. Clearly, he's a raging liberal on the left. I don't agree with a lot of the shit that he says. I've seen like one or two of his speeches. But it's really frustrating. And any of you guys that have seen me talk about free speech, you guys know this fucking hill that I'm on all the time. It's extremely frustrating to me how people don't have the wherewithal to understand that when you remove free speech from one guy, you're fucking next. You're next. And I'm not fucking Goldberg from WCW. I'm dead ass serious. You're gonna be fucking next. And the fact that we got morons like Ben Shapiro, Sean Faresh, Rob Smith, these guys are the leaders of the movement. These are some of the biggest voices in the conservative movement. Not the biggest, but they're big voices. And I'll be fucking damned if idiots like Ben Shapiro, who's an Israel first guy, by the way, or Rob Smith, who's scared about racial riots, or Sean Faresh, that's too much of a fucking retard to understand that this country is run politically by. I'll be damned if these idiots are gonna speak up for everybody. And this is what I mean when I say MAGA retards. Because they're not on principle. I'm on principle. Even if that means I'm going to disagree with Donald Trump. You guys know I like Donald Trump. I voted for him. I truly do like Trump. But that doesn't mean that I can't criticize him. I'm not so blinded where I'm not going to call out bullshit if I see it. And I see a lot of bullshit here. So, absolutely crazy, guys. Absolutely nuts. By the way, this guy is a green card holder, and he has a pregnant wife that's a U.S. citizen. All right, so let me look at this. A judge blocked his deportation. Let's look at this right here.
President Trump weighed in after Mahmoud Khalil's arrest, saying that he and others like him will be deported, but that is now on hold.
Also happening now, there are protests that have been underway.
Yeah, because it's unconstitutional.
After the arrest, including this one at Foley Square in Lower Manhattan, hundreds calling for his immediate release. There are a lot of breaking developments in the past hour, so let's get to News 4's Erica Byfield, who's at Columbia University with what we know. Erica.
Also, let me say this real quick, too, because I forgot to say this. Let's just have an uncomfortable conversation, chat. Gaza was given to the Palestinians roughly in 2007, 2006. They held an election, and Hamas won. And Hamas has been in power ever since. Hamas has two parts. There's a military wing and a political wing. They are the government of Gaza. So when people advocate for the people of Gaza, right, the innocent people that are being killed, you must talk about Hamas. You must, unfortunately. They're the governing body of that strip. So when the White House press secretary says, oh, this guy Khalil supports a terrorist organization, whatever, that's murky waters. And the reason why it's murky waters is because you can't talk about the Palestinian citizens, the innocent people, unless you talk about Hamas, because that's who governs them. Let's play this clip and then I'll finish up what I was going to say.
Yeah, David, we were here in this gathering here behind you. You can see it's just breaking up now when this news came out that the judge had blocked what everybody was saying was happening with Mr. Khalil. The gathering here was with faculty members who were calling for that same thing that we heard from students downtown. They wanted to see him released. All of this unfolding just south of here at the main campus at Columbia. And earlier today, we saw a lot of people protesting outside the gates.
Free Mahmoud Khalil! No!
They yelled Mahmoud Khalil's name outside of Columbia University, a fellow pro-Palestinian protester now in ICE custody.
I think that the students have a right to their free speech on campus.
I think anybody who supports interests that are anti-American, pro-terror, anti-Semitic, and is not a U.S. citizen can be deported.
The former...
Well, that's unconstitutional, dummy. Again, do I agree with his rhetoric concerning Hamas? No. But that is precisely what the First Amendment is there for, to protect speech that offends you. No one gives a fuck about speech that isn't offensive.
Columbia University Students' Week in arrest coming after months of being the face of discontent on campus. He was among those organizing and speaking to the media when students pitched tents and refused to leave after the Israel-Hamas war broke out. On Saturday, federal agents took Khalil into custody from a student housing apartment. His attorney telling News 4 that Khalil is a permanent resident and green card holder.
We are going to eradicate anti-Semitic behavior.
President Donald Trump echoing the same sentiment on social media, saying more arrests are coming.
Now, here's the other thing that's extremely problematic for you guys. You guys want to know who defines anti-Semitism? So these are the guys, the IHRA, okay, International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, all right? Look at this. Working definition of anti-Semitism. Working definition. This should scare every single American. Every single person that lives in the United States that stands for free speech or stands for the First Amendment needs to be looking at this. Okay? This definition is what our legislation when it comes to anti-Semitism is based upon. And when you go to the website, what does it say? Working definition. That means that it can change. You guys understand that? The definition can change. So let me get this straight. We have laws in place that are based around the term anti-Semitism. But here's the problem. The definition of anti-Semitism changes all the time, according to the website. It used to be, hey, hatred of Jews. Fair. Fair. That's unacceptable. The hatred of any people is unacceptable. You're not going to get pushback from me on that. All life is valuable. Nobody is better than anyone else. And whether Jew, Muslim, Christian, white, black, whatever, everyone deserves human rights. I stand on that. I think most of you guys would agree with me on that. But the problem here is that when you have a working definition of a term, that means that it can change. Right? They call it the hate that mutates. And I think the ADLs called it that. So what ends up happening here is you have this term, and look at this. Gets even better, guys. What does that say, chat? Read the full text of the IHRA's non-legally binding working definition of anti-Semitism and learn more about this important tool with the related resources. So, on their own website, read the full text of IHRA's non-legally binding working definition. Do you guys not see what I see? I'll tell you what I see. I foresee a term that's going to be changed multiple times to fit whatever political agenda it needs to fit to get shit done. This is fucking problematic. Extremely. Non-legally binding. But the issue is that this term is going to be used in legally binding legislation. So you have a non-legally binding definition of a word that's going to be used for legally binding legislation that can put people in jail, as you guys see right now with Khalil. Again, I hate the fact that I'm even defending this, but this is fucking wild. And just so you guys know, the IHRA, it's not even an American organization. You can see here it says international. So we have an international agency defining a term that is the operative word for U.S. law. Again, we have an international organization defining the operative word that is used in U.S. law. That's a fucking problem, man.
Writing, "We will find, apprehend, and deport these terrorist sympathizers from our country, never to return again." Khalil was originally taken into federal custody to a facility in New Jersey. His 8-month pregnant wife, who is an American citizen, went to visit him, only to learn he was no longer there. ICE confirms that he's currently in Louisiana at the Jana LaSalle detention.
I've been to that detention center, actually, a few times.
Facility.
That's a big ICE facility in Louisiana.
The database listing his home country of birth as Syria. Meanwhile, his attorneys are working to free him, and they're stressing he is not charged with a crime. The Department of Homeland Security's lawless decision to arrest him solely because of his peaceful anti-genocide activism represents a blatant attack on the First Amendment's guarantee to free speech, immigration laws, and the very humanity of Palestinians. This development coming on the heels of the Trump administration clawing back $400 million in grants to Columbia University because of its treatment of Jewish students on campus.
I was intending to do research here over the summer in the mechanical engineering department, so now I probably won't be able to get funding.
So something else we're learning tonight from this judge. The judge is saying he wants to see the parties involved in this case with regard to that student in court on Wednesday at 11:30 in the morning. So we'll have to be there to see how that all unfolds downtown. We also heard today from Colombia's interim president what the message was. There was actually 4 bullet points saying that they take their mission seriously. They're going to support the community. They're going to follow the law, and the institution is deeply committed to freedom of speech. Reporting live in Manhattanville, Erica Byfield, News 4, New York.
Crazy shit, chat. Crazy, crazy shit.